Hey everyone, Brayden here coming to you with a breaking Disney news update as yesterday the Walt Disney Company's lawyers filed a federal lawsuit with the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Florida against the folks who are currently going after the company, who are attempting to strip Disney of their far-reaching powers in Central Florida. Named in that lawsuit is not just Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, but also the board members of the newly created Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board, among others. Before we get too far into all of this, for viewers who have been living under a rock for the past year, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis is going after Disney right now. Disney, who exercises a lot of power in the state, has special privileges through their local government that they've controlled for over 50 years now, the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Disney is huge for Florida, so not only do they create jobs and revenue, but of course they also lobby for their interests like maintaining control over their district, among many other things in the state of Florida. Meanwhile, it should be noted, Ron DeSantis, the governor, he was a Disney fan. The dude got married at Disney, which just seems kind of crazy now given the current context. His wife is a Disney fan. Ron just a year and a half ago was saying Disney World was his favorite resort in Central Florida. Then Disney came out in opposition to DeSantis's parental rights and education bill, and that was when Ron DeSantis started coming down hard on Disney, saying we're going to take away Reedy Creek from Disney. It ended up being reformed, which was completed earlier this year, something that is by no means a bad thing on its face, because Reedy Creek, as it was before, I don't know if you guys were aware of this, it actually predates the Florida Constitution, which was signed in 1968. So to say that the Reedy Creek Improvement District doesn't comply completely with current state law is an understatement. It most certainly does not. So updating it to comply with current law, making Disney follow the same rules everyone else has to follow, that does sound nice on its face. I'm all for that. The problem is that's not all that's happened here. DeSantis has recently made it quite clear he isn't out to make Disney follow the same rules as everybody else. He is out to specifically punish Disney for lobbying against him, which brings up First Amendment issues where Disney can basically use Ron DeSantis' words against him to say, look guys, all the stuff the government's doing, maybe that's legal, maybe that's constitutional, but it all comes from this place of attacking us for our free speech, so it should all be nullified. It should all be taken off the table. We should go back to the Reedy Creek Improvement District, and that is exactly what is in this complaint that they just filed. Disney's lawyers, they're starting to build out a list of evidence as to how this is all about speech issues, and DeSantis is just going after Disney because he's offended by Disney's speech. And the reason that Disney's lawyers have been able to build out this list of evidence is because of how DeSantis has behaved ever since his update of Reedy Creek was nullified by a publicly signed developers agreement Disney got through under his nose, embarrassing him. Since then, this controversy has spun out of control into him floating ideas like building other theme parks on property, or a prison, or putting tolls on the roads to dissuade people from going to Disney. They're going to make Disney have ride inspections, but for some reason, he said in that press conference when asked at Universal and SeaWorld, the same rules won't apply to them. They're going to make all special districts in the state follow certain rules, but they've messed around with the fine print so that some of these things don't apply to the villages, which is another powerful special district in the state that DeSantis likes. Does all this sound like making everyone follow the exact same rules to you? It doesn't to me, and all this has provided Disney with ammo that they can use. Speaking of getting to this newly filed lawsuit, you'll see Disney has filed specifically for declaratory and injunctive relief with the district court. What does this mean? I'm not a lawyer, but a declaratory judgment would be the court giving Disney direction on the legality of what DeSantis is doing, the legality of what Disney's doing, giving Disney an idea of what their next steps can be, what next steps they could take. More to the point of what Disney's after here is the injunctive part of this. You should already know what a court injunction is. Just yesterday, the new DeSantis Reedy Creek board declared Disney's development contract with the district void. The Florida legislature right now, they are drafting bills targeting Disney and imposing inspections on Disney. These actions all have material consequences potentially coming very soon to Walt Disney World. So what can Disney do against a state which is targeting them? They can sue and seek injunctive relief, which is when the court says, hold it, everybody freeze, nobody moves until we can sort out what is going on here, the legality of what is going on here, and that is what Disney's after with this suit. In the complaint that Disney just filed, there are many sections where Disney's lawyers didn't have to make an argument in their own words as to how the state is targeting Disney. They just put in quotes of DeSantis at these recent press conferences and book tours where he's saying all sorts of crazy things that seem quite contradictory and don't seem like they are in the spirit of having everybody play by the same rules. That said, a lot of this complaint is just filled with Disney patting themselves on the back for making lots of money and being important to Florida. They're like, we are so important to Florida and we make so much money and Reedy Creek is so cool or whatever, which is really not a strong argument as to why they, a private company, deserve to control their own local government again, which is what Disney's seeking here, by the way. So you guys understand, in this complaint, Disney makes it quite clear they are seeking for a court to completely undo all of the signed into law, all that legislation that was enacted in Florida against them under this governor. Lots of legislation which could be completely legal, completely constitutional, completely lawful. They want all that stuff that Florida passed undone on the grounds that all this got started because the governor didn't like their speech. Not on the grounds that what was passed is illegal, but because what they see as the motivation behind what was passed, that is unlawful. That is political persecution. So when I put it that way, you can see Disney's case here. It may not be an open and shut slam dunk, let's all celebrate type of thing. This is going to be a legal battle. All this may just be beginning here. And if you really think about it, you can come up with defenses the state could have that could be quite strong. I'm sure I could come up with one right now, like, hey, yes, it's true that Disney is the only one being hurt by our new legislation, but the reason that these pieces of legislation only affect Disney, despite applying to everyone statewide, is because nobody but Disney possesses such far-reaching powers. The state could argue something like that. The notion that Disney's going to get their totally controlled district back exactly as it was before, I see that as kind of a stretch. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like Pandora's box has been opened on that front, especially on the political side of things. The reason court is Disney's best vector to try to get Reedy Creek back is because politically, I don't care what party the next governor is a part of or the next legislature is majority made up of. Nobody is giving Disney, a private mega corporation, the old Reedy Creek government back exactly as it was before, where they had total control over it. Politically, that is untenable in 2023 on both sides of the aisle. By the way, Disney's whole argument is how what DeSantis is doing is unconstitutional. The funny thing is the state could say the same of the 1967 version of Reedy Creek that Disney wants the court to restore. It literally predates Florida's current constitution, as I previously noted. So needless to say, both sides here are trying to maximize their returns. Disney is seeking to turn back time and stop anything further from happening and tie DeSantis' hands so nothing further can happen. And in the meantime, while Disney is trying to prepare all this stuff over here, DeSantis is on the other side, activating every possible lever, anything that the state can do to mess with Disney. It takes two to tango, as my mom told my brother and I when we were younger, but I will say I think that Disney is more likely to win here, not because their complaint here is, such a slam dunk or an easy win or anything like that. This looks like a serious fight that may be drawn out, and that gets to the component that makes me think Disney will win this fight, and that is the time component. Typically, when you have a drawn out legal battle between private parties, there's the money component where you can get your opponent to bend to settle because it's so costly to go through these kinds of cases. Disney versus Florida is one where I don't think either side will be super short on cash or have any issues on that front. So it all comes down to who does the court side with, who does the court think is in the right, and we don't know which side that'll be just yet. We all have our own opinions on the matter, which color, which way we think this will end up going, which way the court will end up going. And then finally, you have the time component where DeSantis is teasing running for president. He may blow the second term he got and not even finish it and go after the presidency instead. So his attention attention may soon be completely elsewhere, in which case Florida will become increasingly less interested in a prolonged battle with Disney once the animating force behind such a battle is on to other things and no longer governor. So just remember, there's another dimension to this beyond the surface level, beyond what you're seeing in the news and in the headlines. What you're seeing is the start of a major legal battle. What you're seeing here is lawfare, where the dueling powers sue each other to try to tie each other's hands, to try to get a victory that they can celebrate. That's how things work at a level as high as this. So now it becomes a question of who blinks first. And as I said, I think it's more likely that the governor will. I would give Disney a 65-35 split here in terms of the likelihood of coming out on top for the factors previously noted. Disney's interest in this issue goes out to infinity, whereas in DeSantis' case, it may simply be something for short-term political talking points to garner in favor in an election, which is obviously something far more temporary and fleeting. So on the time end, Disney would end up winning out in the end there. That said, as I said earlier, even if DeSantis, let's say DeSantis did all of this just as a short-term political ploy, the fact that the state legislature got rid of the 1967 version of the Reedy Creek Improvement Act, Pandora's box has now been opened there. Disney thinks that they have a shot at getting all of their previous powers back, but I think politically they are going to find nobody is for this private entity getting to control their own local government to the extent that Disney has previously on either side of the aisle. So that's the latest with this Disney lawsuit against Florida's governor and the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. Let me know what you guys think of all of this. I'm sure you already are telling me. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on, and I'll keep you on top of the latest developments on this very contentious battle, this developing situation, which may still be in the very earliest of stages here, the beginning of the beginning, this fight between Florida and Disney. We'll see how long this lasts. Crazy, crazy stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching from the Mickey Views Magic Studio. This is Brayden. Have a magical day.